Hey everybody, welcome back to my craft room. Today we're going to be working on this adorable milk carton featuring, you know who this guy is, the orange bird. And we are going to be using the Valentine juice box from Diamond Press. And this comes with a lot of adorable fruit stamps, and it includes the die set, which is one of my favorite things about Diamond Press. They include both stamps and dies, and it gives you step-by-step instructions on how to make the juice box. And then it also, this is a bonus on this set, includes stencils, which we'll be working with a little bit later. So the paper that I'm using today is also the Diamond Press. This paper is so beautiful, and I believe you can still find the Valentine Juice Box collection and this paper on the HSN website. And this paper is actually very sturdy. It's more of, it's very thick. It's very thick and it's very sturdy, and the colors are vibrant. They're double-sided and they are fantastic. I absolutely love this cardstock. And we are also going to be featuring orange, and this is from the Sassy Club. And here's her card here, and it's super adorable. So we have a lot of steps in this box. Even though it's cute, it's small but it's mighty. Let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do, using that gorgeous cardstock, I cut out each of these pieces. Like I said, you have to cut each one twice. So they're very simple to do. Now, what I will say about this cardstock before I get started is that it's got like it feels like a wax coating on one side. The other side is a little flatter. So you might have better adhesion with liquid glue. Now, you know, I always like to use liquid glue, but in this case, the liquid glue did not work for me. So I did use some double-sided tape. And then you're just going to rotate the long piece and then the short piece, the long piece and short piece. And you're going to make sure you score everything before you glue them together. So I put everything together except for this side piece here. And I'm actually going to, there are score lines here. So you just want to make sure that that's lined up with the top, and take your time and make sure it's really hitting the groove there and lining up neatly as you possibly can there. Okay, very easy. You can fold it, reinforce it if you wanted to. Okay, and then we're going to just have to do the same thing for the bottom. And in this case, I actually forgot to adhere my little double-sided tape. So I'm just going to use glue for this, just to be a little bit quicker. And I do like to do these insides, the slanted parts first. And then just hold that in. And then I'll adhere some glue on this side. And then hold that together. And you just kind of want to hold these squares here, and then they'll level up. And excuse my hands, I know they're super, super dry. But sometimes when I don't craft with, I want to put lotion on, but then I get little marks all over my paper. So I apologize. I have to find a solution for that because it's driving me crazy. And you'll see it folds nicely. And there's your quick curtain box. Very simple. All right, so we'll put this on the side for now, because the next thing we're going to do is we're going to work on the coloring of the orange bird. And you'll see that I have prepared my little birds here. And these are the ones that I already colored. This little guy, this little orange zest, half of orange there, this little rockin' guy, and then this is the one I'm going to color. So today I'm going to be using Spectrum Noir markers, And I'm going to provide the colors so that when I look back on this again later, I'm going to know exactly what I did. So the first two colors, I'm using the Classique markers, and I'm going to do it this way. Satsuma, which is OR1, and then Vanilla, which is BO1. And I'm going to go in with this OR1 because it's the darker shade, and I actually prefer the thinner nib, the nib side. And I'm going to create kind of like a halo. So I'm going to start like at the bottom and just kind of create a halo there. And then I'll color this in. These markers are brand new. They're nice and juicy. And the colors are super, super vibrant. So I'm just going to get this guy started. It's a little bit smaller than I'm used to, so I hope my hands don't get in the way too much to the point where it's distracting. Okay, so I don't like this total shape, so I'm just going to kind of, again, just curve it around like that. Okay, that's it for that. And then we're going to come in with our BO1, and we're just going to blend it in, and then we'll just try to pull it out. And I'm going to kind of avoid the eyes because I don't want any ink to pick up. So I'm being very careful. Again, going over the darker orange and then just kind of pulling it out, trying to avoid the eyebrows. There we go. And I hope this sound doesn't bother people. Okay, going around the eyes. Here we go. And we'll come in here. Just get these little details. Being as careful as I can to not hit any of these other spots. Okay, so he's looking pretty good. And the next thing I want to do is I'm going to go in with, this is OR3, and I'm just going to add a few dots just to give him a little bit of accents there. Okay, and then I'm going to go back in with the OR1, and I'm going to just kind of try to do the same thing, just trying to create a little bit more shade and blending out those extra dots that we just put in. I know it seems like it's going to be super complex, but I promise this is the longest part right here, this coloring, because you just want to make sure when the alcohol evaporates, it's going to lighten up a little bit. So I just want him to have a little bit more shading. Okay, and then the last part for his face, I'm going to go back in with the light and again blend it out. Again, avoiding the dark part of his eye and just trying to pull down and blend in the colors. My gosh, how much alcohol markers have really transformed my coloring. In early days before I knew about alcohol markers, the frustration of not knowing how to get nice smooth blends with my coloring was super annoying. But there are so many great colorists out there, and they have just made it so easy for beginners. I mean, and again, I'm not a perfect colorist. I'll never say that I am, but I do like the results. To me, they're satisfactory. So I'm just going to kind of refer to my little guy over there so I remember what I did. Okay, and then he's only got, oops, wrong one. Here we go. And then what we're going to do is we're going to work on the little drink. So again, we're going to go in with the OR1. And I tried to somewhat follow the curve of the glass, kind of like it's sloshing around there, and then going in with the B01 and blending it out. There we go. The drink itself is super cute. Okay, and then I'm gonna come up here and finish this, but then I'm going to, there we go. I'm gonna come in with a very, very light yellow. And I'm gonna just kind of add like a little swoosh like that. And then I'm gonna blend that up here just to show like a transition from a light to a dark drink, kind of like an ombre. Okay, and then we're gonna just do that one more time, just because I want this drink to be nice and colorful. Okay, dark, light, going all the way in, pulling out the orange. Okay. And finally, we're going to go back in with the light yellow. I think it just adds a nice little touch to it. Okay. So that's the orange colors. And next we're going to go in with, this is the Spectrum Noir Tri-Blend. And if you're starting out coloring, I couldn't recommend the Tri-Blends enough, because they take away the guesswork of buying individual markers and then trying to figure out which ones go with which. These markers provide a light, mid, and a dark, and they're super, super easy to follow. So for this yellow, which this is called Citrus Blend, I'm going to go in with the dark, and I'm going to just get a little bit of his beak, and I'm only going to go like halfway, both sides, and then his little feet. They're like a little heart, super cute. And then I'm just going to go around a little and then come down. Go around a little and then come down. Just giving it a little bit of a highlight. And then we're going to go in with the light yellow again. And then we're just going to blend out his little beak. Like I said, the head is the biggest part, so it takes a little bit longer to blend. But once you get to these little pieces, it's not that bad at all. Okay, so again, I like to do them twice. So let's go back in here. His little beak, his little feet. I think it's so cute that his little feet are like little hearts. It's adorable. I don't live in Florida, but I know Florida can get quite hot. So his little sippy beverage looks very refreshing. Okay, and then there's just a teeniest little spot. And I'm gonna have to be very careful, but I'm gonna just go in with the OR1 and just try to get this, just like a little dot. Be super, super careful there. There. Okay, and then we're going to go in with our greens, and the greens I picked, again, Spectrum Classics, Leaf Green, AG2, and Emerald, AG3. So starting with the darker color, I'm just going to trace around the leaf. And when I'm coloring it in, they're pretty juicy because they're new. So I'm trying not to hold the pen on the paper too long because I don't want it to start bleeding out. And we can go ahead and come down here and do his little hands holding his little drink. So cute. And then we'll at least just kind of come up with this little, highlight that little guy there. And then we're coming in with our lighter green and blending this out. The other thing that I really like about alcohol markers is you could start out working on something and you're like, oh, I don't really like that. But they kind of resolve their own issues. I don't know how to say that, but they create such a beautiful blend. I just love it. And I see a couple of little dots on his belly. Oops, wrong side. That I'm just gonna get in here. There. Okay, and then we're gonna go in with the green one more time. Again, the AG3. Super fun. Part of the reason that I wanted to start my YouTube channel is because I have so many absolutely stunning products and I don't get to play with them, and when I do get to play with them, it's so hard to document the colors I'm using, the way I did it, and I just want to be able to have something, a point of reference for the future if I ever want to recreate something that I did that I love. So you'll see it's starting to, like in my other examples, you'll see it starts to just lighten up and everything just kind of starts to blend in, but it still shows like the shadows and things like that. So for the little straw, what I want to do is just add the teeniest little stripes. There's nothing fun about a plain straw. We need to have, and we're not going to color in the straw anymore. And then what? I want to go with a lighter glass shade. So I have Pistachio, JG1, and Duck Egg, AB1. And again, these are classics. And I'm going to go in with the Pistachio first. And we're just going to try to create just a slight little shadow around the glass. Nothing super fancy. And then we'll blend that in. So again, look, it looks like I have two of the same colors here. But when it starts to dry, you can see the difference, which is what I love. So we're going to leave that, and we're going to go in one more time just with the outline. Back to the jade, just to give it a little extra blending. How cute. There. And I'm happy with that. Okay, so we're gonna add our little accents using my Jelly Roll Sakura pen. And I'm just going to test this on a little piece of paper just to make sure it's gonna flow nicely. There he goes. Good. And then I'm just going to add a few highlights. That's the other thing about coloring is when I first started and I saw these fantastic images that people were coloring, and I was like, wow, that looks so cool. So I finally, you know, paid attention, started watching videos, and then I learned how to do my own little accents, and they just go such a long way bringing your little characters to life. Okay. He's cute. I really like him. It's really adorable. Add one more down here. All right. What a big difference that makes, right? And then you'll see on this guy here, I just added some little, I used my Glaze Sakura pen, and I just added a couple of lines there just to give it a little bit of a shimmer. Okay, so I'm going to let those dry. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start to work on the panels. So the panels I have here, I'll rotate them. And you'll say, what happened to the rest of them? Okay, so I told you that this set comes with stencils. So it's got a nice little splatter, and then it's got these sharp lines. And what a difference they make in your milk carton. This is my Stamps by Me magnetic glass mat. And it's just something so I don't have to clean up my big space. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to make these panels. And I'm going to use, this is the stencil, and it has double lines. It's called lines here. And the first thing I'm going to do is just line the cardstock with the bottom. So like it'll catch there. Okay. Okay. And then I'm just going to hold this down with some scrapbook.com teal tape. And then I'm going to cover this line because that's going to be the green. Okay. And then I'm going to do one more here just to kind of hold the paper in place. There we go. Okay, so we're going to go in with our Hero Arts Tangerine ink, and it's matching finger dauber. And I'm going to do a combination of just kind of back and forth and swirling. And when I saw these colors go on this paper, I just fell in love. It was absolutely perfect. It's got a nice, rich, vibrant colors. I just love them. Okay, so we're not going to move the stencil. I'm going to add, a teeny bit more, just right here. Look at how gorgeous that is. Okay, so next I'm going to go in. We are going to switch the tape over. So don't move your stencil. You're just going to switch the tape. It's kind of a very thin line, but it is enough to tape off. So no problems there. And then we're going to use Green Hills. And again, just kind of back and forth. And then a combination of circular motions. There we go. I love this shade of green. It's so beautiful. Green makes me happy. It's my favorite color. I wouldn't have like a green kitchen or anything like that, but I do love the color. Okay, so that's that. We're done with the greens. We're going to put that away. But we're going to bring in Butter Bar, and we're going to keep using our tangerine. So then, when we peel this away, look at how perfect those stripes are. So gorgeous. Okay, so then we're done with this guy. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add our little splash. And I only alternated the panels. So I'm doing one panel with the juice splash, and then we're going to do something different for that panel. So we're just going to kind of use, you can see through the stencil, so we're just going to use it to just add a little bit of separation from the green line. And additionally, we're going to use the very edge of the stencil so that we can make sure we get this cute little splash in there. So I'm going to just use that to hold on. There we go. Just a little bit. Okay, so I am going to start with the tangerine. And because this is a little bit of a bigger space, I'm going to just try to make sure that I can get like the little splash. And if you're using finger daubers, they do apply the ink nicely, but try not to push too hard because you'll wear out the sponge portion of the dauber. And then I really want to capture this bigger splash here. And then we're just going to be going in circular motions, just blending out this gorgeous orange. Okay, it's looking good. Okay, so we're just going to go about halfway. Get this little section here. Okay, then we're going to try to get a little bit of an ombre by going in with the Butter Bar. And then we're going to just start blending the Butter Bar with the orange. And you can see how nicely it's starting to blend. You can see the transition between the orange and the yellow. And let's get our little splashes here. You know, avoiding kind of going against the stencil so that it doesn't pop up on you, at least for those parts. And then once you feel pretty confident, then you can go in with your circular motions as best you can. Crafting isn't perfect, but I really loved how this looked. And again, the magic of stencils and how clean they can make your project look, but adds so much. Okay, so let's reveal our gorgeous, pretty perfect, except for the little line there that I'm not happy about. I think I might fix that actually. This should have gone over just a little bit, but it's okay. There we go. Just adding a little to the sides here. Okay. Very cute. Okay, and then for that part, I am doing the sentiments. So I did Do Your Zest, which is a stamp that comes with this set. And then this is the stamp. This is the stamp from the Diamond Pressed set, and it says, "Orange you a cutie." How adorable is that? So let's get this guy in here. Lay down about where we want our sentiment. And I use my Gina K amalgam ink. I'm always happy with the stamping I get from this ink, so it is one of my go-tos for sure. And the black sentiment really pops on the orange. And I do go over my stamps multiple times, my sentiments, when I'm stamping, because I like to have a very crisp sentiment. Okay, and one more time. Okay, and this is the obsidian ink. Sorry, I didn't mention that. Okay. Okay, awesome. I love that. Okay, we'll set this aside for now. Oh no, I got a little bit of black ink on it. I did get a little black ink on that. Okay, we'll deal with that in a second. So now we're going to make a mess. Okay, so we're going to take our final panel, because again, we're rotating. And I'm just going to hold this down on 3 sides. I like to try to have a little bit of texture on my projects. Okay, so the other stencil that's included in this set is this heart stencil. So I'm going to try to get as many hearts on there. Again, trying to make sure that it's even left to right. Okay, and then hold that down and hold that down. Okay, so I'm going to use, this is Zinc Diamond, and it's glitter paint, and it's pretty fast drying, so you got to move kind of quickly. So I'm just going to add a little bit onto my sponge, and I'm going to dab, just kind of dab and then kind of pull, dab and then kind of pull, dab and kind of pull. And then we got to get all of the spots. We got a little bit of a half a heart up here, dab, pull, dab. And again, it dries pretty quickly, so you want to just kind of keep it moving. And then because it dries quickly, you can see that the hearts are starting to get darker. There you go. There. I think I am happy with that. Okay. So let's do our little reveal. There we go. Teeny bit came on the top. And like I said, it dries pretty fast. So I'm just gonna leave that to dry. Put that on top of there. And I need to get to cleaning this off real quick, because when I say it sticks, I mean it. So I'm just going to do some circular motions to try to get the glitter off. And my latest favorite cleaning solution is the Dawn Power Wash. So I'm just going to spritz a little bit on there, a little bit on there. And then I'm going to use my microfiber cloth to just kind of clean that up. I told you this was going to be the messy part. But that shows you the quality of the glitter paste, because it is sticking on there. Okay, get your fronts, get your backs of your stencils. And be careful not to pull up too much on your heart, which is what I did. Okay, that's the worst part done. Or when I say worst, I mean messiest part done. All right, so we're just gonna let that dry. And then the next thing I'm gonna do is work on a couple of my other panels, the ones that are dry. Okay, so I cut out these super fine gold strips because I do like to have a little bit of gold on my projects. So I'm just gonna add, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, my hands are so dry. And I left my glue bottle. There we go. Boy, this video here is having its share of issues. Okay, I'm gonna take off a little bit, and then we're just gonna add a little bit here. Just a little bit of shine. And then I'll cut it from the back. Okay, we'll repeat. Sorry, keep banging everything around. Okay, add this to the top. The last one I did, I put this on last. So I had to cut it with my scissors, but I had some super sharp scissors, so that was okay. So we got this here. All right. I'm gonna have to fix that. Hopefully I can just rub it out with one of my erasers. All right, and then this one, and the last one we're not going to be able to do right now because it's still wet, but I did want to show you that process. All right. And cut this off. Great. Okay. Those are nice. I'm happy with that. Okay. So now our box should be glued on there fairly well. And I did cut, this is just a little bag topper because we want a little bit of green in here. So it doesn't have holes. So I was just kind of holding that on, making sure it's straight. And I used my hole punch to just reinforce and go through the carton holes. Okay, and then we'll do the other side. And the paper is a little on the thicker side, so you do have to put a little work into it. Okay, and this little piece here is from the Scrap Diva Designs Shaker gift box, and it's this piece here. That was a die set that I featured in one of my last videos. Okay, so I'm going to use a little bit of, I put a little double-sided tape on there, but I'm going to just try to use a little bit of glue also, just to kind of reinforce it. This way when they open the box, they don't have to worry about this part falling off. It'll be reinforced. Okay, so that's that. And the other side will not have glue on it. So you can use a little ribbon to reinforce it. And then what I did is I just took a little paper clip, because this paper, again, is very sturdy. So when you're holding this together, it's really kind of wanting to pull. So I just took a little paper clip, added some glitter paper, and added that on there. Then what I did is I took, these are a couple of leaves that I got from another diamond press set called Slimline Shadow Sunshiny Day. And I thought they would be super cute for this project. So I just cut them out of some simple glitter paper, and then I'll glue the bigger leaf onto the smaller leaf, just to kind of simulate maybe like an orange leaf. Just hold that on there. And I did do them twice. I layered them twice so that it was a little thicker. I'm just trying to use the warmth of my hands to bend the leaves a little bit. I might have to add some glue back there. There we go. Very forgiving. And then I'm going to go ahead and glue this on, putting glue on my leaves. This way it can start drying while I'm working on some other elements of the box. And I'm just kind of moving the leaves down a little bit so they hide the bottom of the clip. Don't want to see the bottom of the clip. You do have to hold that there for a second. So when I put this down, I'm just going to let it hold that way while it's drying. Okay. So the next thing we want to do is we want to add our cute little characters onto our card. Boy, I'm batting 1,000 today. Smeared my little white. Got some black on there. I don't know what is happening today. Okay, so I'm going to add some 3D foam. Pop up our cute little guy here. All right. Just a couple more. There we go. Okay, maybe I'll cut this one in half, and I'll do, let's see, maybe this side, and then maybe a little bit of this side, and then I'll just trim it off here. Because he's going to be on a box, so you kind of want him to be a little sturdy. Okay, before my glue dries again. There we go. Okay. So you're not going to see this part, thank goodness, because it's super, super wonky. Doesn't look the best. But I do like to have a little bit of dimension. All right, and then here we go. We're just gonna add him on there however you think he looks. Don't want to cover up the phrase. And I thought the front one would be cute on an angle. Okay, and then I found these super gorgeous little gems. They're actually they have like little fruity flavor, colors, but they also have like little teeny little flecks of gold glitter in them, which I thought was awesome. And my goal here, that one's too big, is to sort of simulate some little drink bubbles coming up. Really trying to get this guy that way. Okay, there we go. Try to put him here. And then a couple smaller ones. You see the little bit of gold on there. Super fun. And I know you usually do 3s, but I thought because they're bubbles, you would need just a couple more bubbles just to make it look a little bit more playful. So I'm gonna go with 4 on this one. There we go. And then just try to, there we go. Well, let's see how we do. All right. This guy I like. There we go. And there we go. Just gotta have a little something extra on there. All right. I like that. Okay, so that's that. And then what I'm gonna do is just add my other characters to the other panels. So on this little orange panel, I'm gonna do this little piece of orange here. I already just put the foam squares on there so that I don't have to show you me cutting them to size. So just putting them on. And on this piece of orange, I actually used a little bit of glitter. These are some of my favorite glitter markers, the Nuvo ones, because they give you a nice amount of shine without being like, it doesn't warp your paper because it's got too much water in it. So it just gives it a little bit of shimmer, which I thought was cute. All right, so we got this guy, then we got this little piece of fruit. Then we're gonna go back to the splash one, and then that is gonna be this fun guy just enjoying his breakfast. Or his treat, should I say. All right. Thanks. Okay. This guy has a lot of glue on him because he's bigger and I didn't want him to move around. Okay. And one more. All right. He's just having a great day. I wish I could be this happy before my first cup of coffee. Oh, I'm sticking my head in there. Before my first cup of coffee. There we go. Look how cute that is. All right. And I think, yeah, see, it's already dry. So that was no time at all. So I'm going to put that gold strip on there before I put my little bird on. Super cute. Oh my gosh. I want to make so many things with these little birds. They're so adorable. And I love I love birds. I love when they sing. I love everything about them, except for when my car is under a tree. That sometimes is not fun because they do so much to my poor car. Okay, so let's get this. And like I said, I know that the walls in my house are paper thin, so you can probably hear my son's TV up there. He just got home from work, so I'll give him a pass. Okay, so again, the paper has a little bit of a waxy texture. So I did put some double-sided tape to hold my panels down. But let's get this little guy on here. I don't mean for these videos to be so long. I really don't. I did a lot of the work ahead of time. But yeah, sometimes they just take a little bit longer. And the last one here. He's so cute. He's so cute. There we go. Like he was meant to be there the entire time. Okay, so we'll bring our little box in. Okay, and we'll just rotate. We'll find the best side for the front. Yeah, they both look pretty good. My die cutting machine, or my plates, have little dots on them. I had them on the wrong side, so I'm getting like little dots on my paper when I cut them. But we're going to cover that up, so no problem. All right. So this guy, I did not put paper on. This guy did not put glue on. This guy I did. Okay, so when you're putting on any kind of sticky double-sided tape, the double-sided tape is very sticky. So if you get it on the wrong, if it's crooked, you're going to be very unhappy. So if you just lift up a corner and just pull it back like that, it'll help you line it up without having to, if you put it on wrong, pull it back up again. So you just do that, you line it up, and then you just pull when you're happy. Just pull, stick, pull, stick. And I've been watching crafting TV for a lot of years. And this is one of the first tips I picked up that's like so simple but genius, right? All right. So that guy goes there, and then they'll do the same thing for this guy. So when you're just doing projects, you know, first you pick the paper, then you pick the primary element, which in my case was my adorable birds. Then you get to kind of your decorative, your textures. And then you can go in with the cute stuff like your little beads and things like that. There we go. Super cute. Okay, so I'm not going to bore you with the other putting the glue on those. So let me just show you my little final product here. My cute little orange bird. And then it's super easy for the recipient to just unclip. And then because we only put this on one side, it'll open up into a nice gift box. Put a couple pieces of candy. I'm always about the candy. Always about the candy. And gift cards. Because gift cards, you can't go wrong with gift cards. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed my project for today. I know it was long, but I hope you hung in there. And I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Thank you so much. Take care.